What is Wink about?
Wink is about a boy, Ross, in seventh grade, Ross Maloy, and he's going through cancer treatments. You actually, the book starts right up with him starting into cancer treatments, but then you get the backstory of how he got diagnosed with this rare eye cancer, and it's actually the same cancer that I had my own cancer experience. I was in my 30s. It was 14 years ago. Uh, so he's in middle school. He's a kid who likes to blend in, doesn't want to stick out, and suddenly his doctors are telling him to wear this goop on his face, and he loses hair, and they make him wear this awful wide-brimmed cowboy hat, all of which I had to do, but I wasn't in seventh grade. Um, so suddenly he sticks out very much, and he has some problems with some of his friends. He starts making some new friends. But basically, it's some of the middle school turmoil is almost as much of a problem for him as the cancer diagnosis. Although sometimes the cancer diagnosis gets on top of him. So, but it's a funny book. I know it doesn't. What I just described does not sound funny. There's a lot of humor in it. He falls in love with music. He gets involved with the guitar. There's a lot of friendship and family and all that. Those are the ways that he learns to cope with what he's going through a really difficult time. Including he draws a character called Batpig, who it's a comic strip that he does in his sketchbook, and you get to see those comics throughout the book, and you can see how he's dealing with what he's going through in those comics. Like that's almost like therapy for him to work it out.
That won my heart over. When I was in middle school and late grade school, I drew a character called Batworm because I was terrible with hands and feet. But by God, I could draw a cowl and a cape, and there's our worm. We're good.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, I didn't know that. That's fantastic. Well, and he starts out drawing a character called Batbutt, and he gets in trouble, so he switches over to drawing Batpig. Yeah, I've had so much fun with that character too. It's like a little side main character I get to do.
There's lots of illustrations throughout that you're going for broke with some of these drawings, which makes sense. You are a comic strip illustrator. You're a professional make pictures that make people laugh sort of fella.
Sure,
That's on full display here. Just trying to assure esteemed audience that you will absolutely just howl with laughter in some scenes throughout Wink.
Yeah, there's a lot of awkward situations that happen, and then also I think the real humor comes from Ross's perspective and the way he views things. And one thing that I figured out when I went through my cancer thing is that even though, no matter how dire the situation, and I got into some pretty awful situations, that part of your brain doesn't shut off. You still see the absurdity, and you still have weird thoughts and all that. And that was part of what I wanted to get across in this book. It was a way to show the experience, sort of warts and all, and show some ways to cope with it. The main one of which is having a sense of humor about it.
So when did you start this book? Was that a full 14 years past your own experience, or when did you have enough perspective to feel like you could tell this story?
Well, I started thinking about writing it a few years after the experience. When I was going through my cancer experience, I was doing a syndicated strip called Big Top. It was about a boy in the circus, and it was a daily strip, and I never stopped doing it while I was going through my treatments. So it was actually, my treatments ended up happening in Bloomington, Indiana. So I lived with my parents. They lived about 2 miles from one of the only places in the country where I could have gotten this treatment. I continued to do my comic strip the whole time. And I think that forcing myself to be funny and to think about the lighter side of things every day had an effect on me. It got me through it. And so I started thinking about, was there a way to tell the story using my characters from Big Top? There was a bear and a poodle and the lion, and I just kept playing around with it, and the idea wasn't quite right. It was just a couple of years ago when I really finally came up with an idea that that I could set it in middle school. I actually had a friend whose daughter was diagnosed with cancer. She was a freshman in high school, and she and I talked quite a bit about the whole experience, and I got to see how hard it was on somebody her age. There was a whole added social element to it, that sort of thing. And so a lot of things came together. I had just finished my Life of Zarf books. She got diagnosed. We talked about it. It just all the pieces fell in place. And I realized this might be the way to write the book where it would help the most. And it felt the most natural, I guess, in a way, in a weird way.
And was that where you drew a lot of inspiration? Because something that really stood out to me is the father character, and I feel like we feel some of his pain almost as much as Ross's pain, and watching his son have to go through a lot of this, and that's probably just me reading into it as a father, and thinking, oh my God, what a terrible thing. Was that?
I think some of that probably came from seeing my friends have their daughter go through it. She's fine, by the way, at this point. I want to make that clear. Yeah, I think I saw what they were going through, and part of it is, as you keep rewriting and trying to flesh out these characters, you get a real feel for them, and I liked the dad character, and he was someone who was sort of easy to write for, and maybe because I'm probably about the same age he would be, and I related a bit with how helpless he felt. And I think I tried to make that come across, that he had, he wanted everything good for his son, but he was also struggling because sometimes there's just nothing to do. That sounds really grim, but
it is.
It is grim.
That's the human experience, unfortunately, sometimes.
Yeah, but then even his dad has this sense of humor and comes at things in an interesting way and talks about them with Ross in an interesting way that sort of lightens the burden on Ross a little bit, I think. Yeah, I tried to.
I don't think there's a character in the story that doesn't have at least one nice moment where if it's not just straight humor, just like, oh, okay, I can see their humanity. They're fine.
Okay, good.